What's up, everybody? Welcome to today's Untethered Daily with myself, Noah Hammond. This is the show where I tap into my intuition and download a message for our tribe of untethered entrepreneurs, those who are deeply committed to both personal and spiritual growth, as well as mission-driven business, making an impact out there in the world with your venture, with your passion turned into a lucrative business and a vehicle for change. So welcome to today's stream, everybody, and let's see what's coming through. So what does our tribe of untethered entrepreneurs most need to hear today for our collective highest good and for the highest good of all other beings involved? Trust is something that is invested, not earned. Trust is something that you consciously invest, not something that the outer experience can prove worthy of having you invest. Right? Trust is something that you bring to the table, and because you bring it to the table, it exists. And just like any other investment, you can make the investment and you can decide to divest or to remove your investment. And this is really important for you to know as an entrepreneur. Is everything coming through okay? I'm seeing a little bit of choppiness. Can you guys throw a comment in the section? Just let me know if you can hear this all right. Let me know if this is coming through clear, if audio is clear, that kind of thing. Just say like all clear, I can hear you, something like that. I just see a lot of choppiness on my screen. Who's got me? Okay, cool. Thanks, Daniel. Appreciate that, man. All right, so trust is something that you invest. Let me get back to it. Yeah, because as an entrepreneur, you need to trust a lot of people beyond just yourself. You need to trust your team. You need to trust your advisors. You need to trust your investors. You need to trust your customers. You need to trust your mastermind group. You need to trust your mentors. You need to trust your coaches. There's all these people and all these layers of trust that are going to surround you in your creation. And whether or not you have a healthy relationship with trust, and whether or not you're consciously and healthfully investing your trust into the necessary people and entities and structures around you, will play a critical role in your ability to actually create something of meaning and value and significance and impact in the world. And going back to it, trust being something that's invested, not earned, when you look at the times in which trust has been negated, it's typically because someone or an entity of someone's, an organization, did something that did not meet your expectation and therefore broke your trust. The problem with that, though, as an entrepreneur, though, is that if you have a relationship with broken trust, it's essentially a broken relationship, and it can't be fully maximally leveraged. And as an entrepreneur, the number one thing that researchers have shown is the thing that will take a business's momentum forward fastest is trust. Trust among the team. Right? So if, as the entrepreneur, you play that weird game where a teammate didn't do what they were supposed to do the way you wanted them to, or in time, or whatever, and now you have a subtle mistrust of that person, instead of consciously choosing whether or not to stay invested in your trust in that person or to divest your trust in that person, right? If you play that middle ground, what ends up happening is you erode the trust amongst your team, you erode the experience of trust in your ecosystem, and you become the source of a lack of trust to permeate out into your creation. And trust is the number one thing that'll bring momentum to your growth and to what you're creating. And it's also a lack of it, or a strange version of it, is the thing that will most quickly erode your ability to create impact out in the world. And as entrepreneurs, we have to get our trust issues handled. We have to look at where we've been betrayed in the past, when we had broken expectations, when we had an expectation that was not met by others or by a society at large. And we have to look at and allow ourselves to heal any of those mistrusts, any of those wounds, any of the fear, so that we can invest our trust fresh in the next person. Right? It's like if you've ever jumped from relationship to relationship too quickly without healing something in between, and then you realize that you're in the same pattern with the next relationship, the same kind of stuff is coming up. The same thing will happen in your experience of trust in your workplace, right? If you've hired someone and they didn't do the job and you had to fire them, and then you hired another person, and I've been there before where I've hired multiple people who showed up with the same version of the inability to get things done or the inability to show up the way I needed them to. And really what I realized in the process was that it was all me, that I was attracting and calling in these experiences. And it wasn't necessarily only about the trust factor, but it was about the hiring process, who I was hiring, how I was calling them in, why I was calling them in. And there's a whole training that I could give around hiring specifically, but this is one of the factors. And so to bring it back down to the simple of it, trust is something you invest. It's not something that people earn. You choose to invest your trust, and because someone has your trust, they now actually have the opportunity to show you why they're trustworthy. If someone does not have your trust and they're trying to earn your trust, it's an unhealthy dynamic. It's a narcissistic dynamic. It's a judgmental dynamic. And it puts people in experience of running through hoops, essentially, right? Trying to prove themselves, trying to show their value, trying to prove their worth. When if you hire someone on your team or bring someone into your world, in that moment where you bring them into your world or onto your team, you should be investing your trust in them and letting them know that they have your full belief, right? Because then they can show up as who they truly are, and you can show up as who you truly are. And if trust needs to be divested later on, then you can choose to do so when the time is right or when the circumstances arise. And it can be clean. It can be clean on the investment of trust. It can be clean on the divestment of trust. The place that you don't want to play is in the middle, where people are trying to figure out what you think and who you are and where you stand and all of that kind of stuff, because it is going to murder productivity. It's going to murder the expansion of that which you choose to create in the world. And ultimately, you're not going to enjoy the process either. And you'll probably feel repeatedly, time and time again, like you're being left out in the cold by your team, like your team's not showing up for you. And truly, you never showed up for them. You never said, hey, I fully believe in you, I fully invest in you, and I'm here to see you succeed, until the moment when I realized that this was the wrong investment, or that this is no longer the right investment, and I choose to invest my trust elsewhere, or I choose to invest in someone new or in a different forward direction. So being binary with your trust. Trust is either there or it's not. Ones or zeros, right? It's there or it's not. No conditional crap around it. No waiting for people to prove their worth, right? You be the power center of your business. You be the beacon of trust that stands in your business. And as soon as you don't trust someone in your business, that's a conversation to be had, and a direction can go from there. So yeah, so hopefully this has been helpful. That's my download on trust today for you guys. And thanks for joining me. I'm going to put a link in the comments below that shares our private group for the Untethered Entrepreneurs that you can join if you're already a six-figure or greater business owner, and you also deeply appreciate and value personal development, spiritual growth, and you think that both mission-driven business as well as personal and spiritual development are cool things to be up to in the world, then I'm going to invite you to join our Untethered Entrepreneurs group, which I'll put a link in the comments below. And what did this stir up for you guys? Let me know. Put a comment below. Let me know if there's any insight, wisdom, or anything that you're seeing that's of value. Love to hear what you're getting out of these things. These messages are just as much for me as they are for everybody else. And it's also super valuable to know that they're helpful. So thanks for joining me today, everybody, and I'll see you again soon with another Untethered Daily. Bye for now.